K-pop is a rapidly evolving industry, constantly witnessing the rise of exceptional groups that dominate the scene. Just when the excitement reaches its peak, a new wave emerges, introducing a fresh set of talented groups that capture the attention of the masses once again. These waves, known as generations, have their own distinct characteristics and defining elements. Typically, generations are characterized based on the debut year of these groups, marking a new chapter in the world of K-pop. However, it can be confusing to determine where one generation ends and the next one begins, even for longtime K-pop fans. So, has the fifth generation begun, and what can we expect from it? Idology, a dedicated K-pop webzine, published an article in June 2020 discussing the different generations of the genre. They categorized K-pop's past and present into 4 distinct generations, highlighting the defining characteristics of each. Their aim was to guide the genre's progress and cultural growth without creating conflicts or divisions. They also sought to observe the natural evolution of boundaries within the world of K-pop. The first generation groups such as HOT, Zexkis, SES, and Finkel drew inspiration from American boy bands and Japanese idols for their concepts. Then, despite a challenging economic crisis in Korea, the second generation of K-pop witnessed a remarkable rise in commercialization, making it one of the country's most profitable industries. Notably, groups like Dolbangshinggi, Big Bang, Super Junior, Girls' Generation, Kara, and Wonder Girls rose to popularity, defining the genre. But differently from idols from the previous generation, the second generation idol groups gave up the whole mysterious, untouchable celebrity image and fully embraced the friendly neighborhood star concept. We're gonna come back to this, so make sure to remember that. In the following era, the third generation of K-pop took the world by storm, leaving quite a mark on the genre. What set the third gen groups apart was their focus on appealing to an international audience. Social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram, as well as streaming platforms such as YouTube and Naver, played a very important role in globalizing K-pop and making it more accessible to international fans. Visionary groups like EXO, BTS, GOT7, Red Velvet, Twice, Blackpink, and many more led this generation. Since around 2018, the fourth generation of K-pop were the next ones to take the industry by storm. Influenced by their predecessors, these fourth generation groups have managed to create a significant impact despite not being in the industry for long. They engage fans with catchy dance challenges shared on platforms like TikTok or Instagram and are much more active on social media overall. K-pop's growing popularity in the fourth generation has also fostered collaborations between major Korean companies such as HYBE, SM, YG, JYP, and international partners, granting aspiring artists a global stage. Some of the most notable groups from the fourth generation include IDOL, ITZY, Stray Kids, TXT, aespa, and many, many more. And now, there's a significant shift in the music that newer groups are making in their concepts, which signal the start of the new era. Yup, we can freely welcome the fifth generation of K-pop. Many people believe that the fifth generation started when New Jeans made their debut in August of last year. When examining how HYBE handles their 2 current girl groups, it becomes evident that LE SSERAFIM continues to be presented with concepts, songs, videos, and promotions that align with the third and fourth generations of K-pop rather than new ones. This creates a distinct separation between LE SSERAFIM and New Jeans. However, some fans question whether this alone is sufficient to credit New Jeans as the artist who pioneered the Y2K concepts and say that they were the first group that did it, but they're the ones that made it popular amongst the groups that are debuting. So, since last year, there has been an evident increase in diversity and the introduction of fresh approaches, which has made fans think that the fifth generation has already started. More or less, defining a new generation in K-pop can be different depending on the criteria that we use. If we consider years alone, New Jeans would belong to the fourth generation. After all, it hasn't been a long time since the fourth generation started, so it's natural to wonder how it's ending so fast. However, if we focus on a new sound or style that influences both new and established groups, then New Jeans could be considered part of a new alias fifth generation. But the Korean media outlets have already started identifying groups such as Baby Monster, Zero Base One, Boy Next Door, and Zykers as the pioneers of the fifth generation in K-pop. As the fifth generation unfolds, the industry's inclination towards a Y2K concept, inspired by the success of groups like New Jeans, appears promising. By embracing the Y2K aesthetic, K-pop agencies have the opportunity to tap into nostalgia while reinventing it for the modern era. The fusion of fashion, music, and multimedia platforms blended with innovative ideas could bring on a new wave of music and concepts. Now, we're not saying that every group will go through with this concept. It's hard to imagine a YG Entertainment artist singing about boy crushes to a bubble pop sound. However, they all seem to have the same notion, nostalgia. New Jeans has already done that pretty well, with that being one of the reasons why they're so famous. Zero Base One also seems to want to invoke a nostalgic feeling in their listeners, if their spoiler films are anything to go by. Boy Next Door and Zykers seem to want to bring their listeners back to simpler times with boyish, simple teaser pictures and videos. We don't don't know the concept of Baby Monster's debut release yet, but don't pretend to be shocked when they tap into 90s R&B. Another thing that we might see is the strategy of second-generation groups who were marketed in a way to make it seem like they're not super rich and famous celebrities, but normal people with a passion for performing. New Jeans, again, is the best example of this, but Boy Next Door also seems to be heading towards a similar direction based on their name alone. Sure, the third and fourth generations weren't all glamour and glitz, but they still felt unreachable to the audience, whereas the fifth generation might change this significantly. Seeing as the newer idols are also younger and have a grasp on the humor and the slangs, it might be easier for agencies to make the audience get interested in them. They're also very active on social media, which helps build a relationship with their fans and make them feel closer to them. However, we should consider that there is a possibility that the big three companies might not be able to catch up with groups like 50/50 and New Jeans in terms of popularity, particularly among the general public and the international audience. Despite the enormous resources and established reputation of these agencies, there are several factors that could possibly set back their chances of success in appealing to the public. The perception of being associated with a big company like SM, JYP, and YG, and now even HYBE, can sometimes work against newer idols, as it may create an impression of manufactured or calculated fame. Some fans and the general public are increasingly drawn to independent or lesser-known groups that convey a sense of authenticity and relatability. The new groups that are coming up often show themselves as being self-made, sharing their personal stories and experiences that really touch the fans. On the other hand, the Big Four are seen as these huge corporations that care more about making money than expressing themselves through art, even if that's not necessarily true. This can create a disconnect between them and the audience, who are looking for real connections and genuine experiences. People just love rooting for the underdog. Sure, New Jeans also come from a big company, but the girls themselves make it easy to connect with them through their music and social media presence. Although their gigs outside of the group are sometimes the exact opposite of what their group music is like. As for 50/50, in addition to their songs being bangers, the audience is more likely to resonate with the story of a group of young adult women fighting to be at the top. While the big companies in K-pop have enjoyed immense success and shaped the industry for decades, there is a possibility that they might not be able to catch up with these new wave of groups in terms of popularity, especially among the general public and the international audience. No matter how hard they work, being associated with a big company is enough for the public to perceive you as privileged in some way. Fans, especially Western ones, have grown to gravitate towards a personal connection with artists lately, as they make you feel like you're being given a glimpse into their real lives. Additionally, the popularity of digestible music plays a significant role. The general public seem to be drawn to groups that create catchy and accessible songs that appeal to a wide range of listeners. Big companies face a challenge when their focus on grand productions and complex arrangements clashes with the audience's desire for simple and immediately gratifying music. But after all, only time will tell whether the bigger companies will thrive when it comes to competing with these groups that are debuting almost every day. They've come to the top every time, but everyone's curious to see whether this new era will pose a challenge for them, and if we'll see groups from smaller agencies prosper. In the end, there's still confusion on whether the fifth generation has even started, as there have been for almost every generation before them. K-pop fans are deeply invested in discussions about the industry's future and the upcoming fifth generation of idol groups. But what we can say for sure is that ever since New Jeans debuted, there has been a significant shift in what music K-pop groups put out. Tell us your thoughts in the comments. What are your opinions on the new generation? Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye!